Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
And here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the program. My name is Dean. We have a full slate today. As always, the show is brought to you by our friends at Easy Auto Financial. Easy Auto Financial. Get yourself in a car. Get the financing. Doesn't cost you a dime. They're one of the few people who do it. No financing costs. Yeah, easyautofinancial.ca. They'll get you the car, too. Go see our friends at Domination if you like to do content. Another sponsor of the show, dmntn.com. Try them out today. And, of course, Ed's Fine Imports and his Gitch. edsfineimports.com for the best underwear in the business. Please welcome Lachlan Cross live from Budapest, Hungary. We've got Ryan Lindley live from his basement in Binbrook, and we've got James in Killaloe, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody is here today. Don't forget, if you're listening to this, you can actually watch it on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show. Hit the old subscribe button. That'd be great. Also, same thing with Twitch, Dean Blundell TV on Twitch. Now that stuff's out of the way, please welcome, live from Budapest, Hungary, not to not make a big deal out of the other two cats that are here, Jamesy and Ryan. I love them both, but Lachlan, he's making time on his vacation in Budapest, everybody.
Thank you very much. I miss you guys.
Yeah, we
miss you too, buddy.
I have had a very enjoyable vacation, and it's been awesome to see my daughter, who has spent the last couple of Christmases by herself just due to circumstance and dance and all that. So this summer, when the restrictions lifted, we got this trip. And then, as everyone knows, the conversation at the beginning of December started to turn, but there was no real decisions made one way or the other about staying or going or don't go or whatever. And so we just said, well, fuck it, let's go. Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, we're over here, I'm not going to lie. Every morning we get up and we're like, well, let's check to see if the restrictions have changed. So far, so good. We're coming home on Sunday. We left on the 12th. About a week in, they were like, we advise everybody not to travel, please. We're like, oh, thanks for telling us.
After you land. Right.
Yeah. But it looks like we should be able to get home. We're going through Germany on the way home, and then we're landing in Vancouver, and then we're taking a short flight back to Edmonton. I was talking to the boss yesterday. I think the worst case scenario with what we're dealing would be we might have to quarantine for 10 days or something like that, which, I mean, I can do it. I can do the show from home over tie lines and that kind of crap. And I can do the podcast when I get home. We'll see, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, dude, you didn't even think of that stuff, right? Like, you're going to have to test before you get on the flight, right? You got to produce a negative test as well as be vaccinated. Is that correct?
Well, that's been part of any travel for the last 4 or 5 months, as far as I know. You've had to get those PCR tests on and off the flight, haven't you? Like, that's just been
domestically.
That
no,
hasn't changed.
You have to be vaccinated domestically to travel on an airplane.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, fellas. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan or James. You're smarter than me.
I
only travel by dog sleigh these days, so
that's true.
It may have changed in the last couple of weeks, but that's, I believe, how it was originally. And then international, you had to do the PCR before leaving within 48 hours.
We had to do a PCR test before we left to get overseas, and to get back, we have to do one in Budapest in Hungary, and then we have to do one when we hit the ground. I think it might be by draw. Like, you'll go through and a light will go and they'll go, okay, you got to go test. But we're not positive yet. So
yeah, well,
interesting country though.
Well, here's the thing. Let me ask you a question before we get to interesting country. Lachlan's in Budapest, Hungary. He's joining us live there today. It's like 10 o'clock at night in Budapest. Or Pest, pardon me. But like, what happens if, like, a day before you test positive, you have to stay, right? Like, what's the protocol? You're not going anywhere. You're going to be in Hungary for a while. It's fucking Russian roulette. You're running around, sightseeing, seeing different people. It's got to be stressful because you're like, if you get it, you can't come home for an extended period of time, right?
Yeah. Well, and we've been safe as we're doing everything we can. We got hand sanitizer, we got wipes, we got masks. We bought special masks online. We're wearing them everywhere, even outside. And for the most part, Hungary is fairly compliant. We were at the mall today. The girls went and got their nails done, and we had a bite to eat, and we're doing sightseeing stuff, right? So we're in crowds, but we're masked up as much as we possibly can, everywhere. And you see the odd person, but I would say the compliance here is even better than it is in Canada, and Canada's not bad. You still see the people with the masks underneath their noses and all that shit, but for the most part, like, people are masked up everywhere. Like, you cannot get on. Yeah, you can't get on public transit without a mask. Do you see any protests? Do you see any of the crazies that we have here over there? Do you see the anti-vax? Or is Hungary like one of those countries where if you do protest, someone pays you a visit in the night with a fucking billy club? Well, you know what? I don't know. This is Hungary is an interesting country. They're very proud, and I don't think they have a real strong immigration policy. I've never been in a whiter city. I swear to God, I've seen 3 people of ethnic origin here. And one of them sold me a donair today. Like, it's
like out of his jacket. Like, what do you mean?
It was a shop.
You want something? You want donair?
Dude, man, yes. You don't see anybody. You don't see anybody of any color or ethnicity. It is the whitest fucking country I have ever been in. Man.
Dude, if you've ever been to Germany,
Canada, it's so funny.
Oh no,
Alberta, this was white,
dude. This place makes Alberta look diverse. Like, honestly. Like, you can't get in a cab in Edmonton. White guys don't drive cabs in Edmonton. If you go to a Tim Hortons, you're not getting served by a white person unless it's somebody old and they haven't got enough money from the government to pay the electrical bill, right? It's all Filipinos.
The only white cab drivers in the States are Russian, and that's like LA. There's a lot of Russian cab drivers.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's what it is.
Yeah, dude. If you've ever been to Germany. If you've ever been to Germany, I experienced the same thing. It was like several years ago. My son had a hockey tournament over there, and we went over, and I was fucking shocked when I saw an Asian person in a photo mart. I was like, oh my God, this is like, I forgot there were other colors of people being in Germany because it's so
but it was
white.
A photo
it's
mart, so the odds were
so white.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I had to go to a photo mart to see anybody of color or anybody of another ethnicity.
This show has been fun,
at the right store, and I just couldn't figure it out.
Nice knowing you.
No, honestly, we're not bagging on it.
Ryan,
I'm just like, it's just the way it is. If you go over to Germany, that is the way it is. And I'm trying to find out.
I'm sure.
And if you're from Canada, when you go to an Eastern European country, it is like the loudest question you have in your head when you're walking around. You're like, are there anybody from any other country here? Like, this is fucked,
like,
right?
Why are people why do black people avoid Hungary? I don't know. There must be a reason. Like, honestly, I've never seen anything like it.
My Eastern European grandparents would have the answer for you, and it starts with an N word, and that's usually the tone in all of Eastern Europe. It's nationalism. It's exactly
it is, and I don't think
we don't want any of those fucking nationalists in our country. Is something they would have said.
Well,
we don't go to Congo and be like, where are all the crackers? I don't understand what's happening here. Like, it's just,
James, I understand what you're saying, but we do live in a rather diverse country, and I think the thing about Canada that we forget is that people actually want to go there. Like people want to. It's a destination for people from other countries, less fortunate countries.
Yeah, you go to Toronto. Like you wouldn't go to Hungary if your daughter wasn't there for a 2-week vacation.
No, absolutely not. I'm glad I did. It's a gorgeous, beautiful country.
Wasn't that the premise of the first Taken movie?
Yeah, probably. But
I don't think Locke would have fared as well.
No, although I almost got my ass kicked today in the
what
food
happened?
mart at the fucking mall. So
okay, Chris Sky, go ahead.
So
I almost got my ass kicked in a food court at the mall in Hungary.
I was just trying to buy two stocks.
Do you want some ass kicking music for this too? I can get you some.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get you some nice ass kicking Christmas music.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So anyway, here's the we went to the mall. The girls wanted to get their nails done, so we had a bite to eat in the food court, and my wife and my daughter got like a burger that was made for them at a burger place, and I just went to this Thai place and got noodles, and so I sat down at this table for 4. And I pretty much was done eating when they came to the table. But I had a beer, like I had a Heineken. They sell beer in the food court. I'm like, I'm getting a beer. So
I'm moving to Hungary.
And I'm sitting at the table and I'm just on my phone. I was actually sending a note to Dean about the New Year's Eve show. So I wasn't really paying attention to anything around me. My daughter and my wife were eating, and this guy starts yelling right next to me, and he's pointing at the table, and I, like he's yelling at me in Hungarian, and I'm like, I look over at him and I'm like, what do you want? And he wants my table. Like, I'm still sitting at it. My wife and my daughter were there. I'm clearly, to his point, I'm not using the table other than I've got a beer sitting on it, and I'm behind it, and he's got a buddy that wants to sit with him and his wife, but he's yelling. So I was going to do the right thing, but then I was annoyed, and then I turned to him, and I looked at him, and I said, wait a minute, I'll give you the table when I finish my fucking beer. And so I raised my voice to his level.
Yeah.
And then people around us started to realize why it took me so long to respond to him, because he was getting mad because I wasn't responding to him right away, because I don't speak the language. I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. So he's banging on the fucking table, getting angrier and angrier. And then when I yelled out in English, and then his buddy was like, hey, it's okay. It's interesting because even when you're in another country, conflict, when you got a bully and you stand up to them and raise your voice to their level, they immediately back down. He had no idea what I said. I had no idea what he said, but he knew that I was pissed off that he was asking for my table that I was sitting at.
No,
he was really hard of hearing, and he was like, I want to welcome you to this country.
He was mad because the Hungarian custom is you're supposed to tell your wife to stand and eat and have him sit down.
Well,
how did you not know this? It was in every tour guide.
Is she a horse?
I've had 2 or 3 situations in this country where Hungarians are yelling at us, and we don't know why. Like one was on the bus, and my daughter thinks that you're not supposed to talk on the bus or something. Like, so this old fucker's yelling at us on the bus, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, all these situations sound like you just aren't familiar with what is considered common sense etiquette in Hungary. Like,
absolutely,
your meal, keep it moving so that the other people can sit down. Don't talk on a bus, whatever the other one was. It just, you're not,
Yeah.
But still, that seems a little tight-assish.
It is. The thing is, like, the point I made to my wife afterwards was, like, listen, if I was done and I wasn't waiting for you guys, I would have given him the table, no problem. But I would never, in any country, have ever asked for that table. If you're going to sit down, like, it's not like it was fucking jammed. It's busy, but it's not jammed.
Yeah, there were other tables
places
for that guy to go and sit, right? You just wanted your table. Was it?
Yeah.
But is that a custom thing, Ryan? Like you said, women are supposed to stand while the men sit and eat. Does that really happen in Hungary, or are you just making that shit up?
I was just making that up.
No,
Ryan, holding the bowl and gently bowing. Is that the?
There are some rules here. Like honestly, like it's funny. Like I've noticed too with driving around the city. Like, listen, you're on your own. In Canada, pedestrians have started to take over the streets, like bikes and pedestrians. Like they're trying to make cars illegal in Edmonton.
Huge.
Yeah, in fucking Hungary, you are on your fucking own. Guess what? If you're behind the wheel of a car, you've got the right of way always.
Oh wow!
Like, get out of the way.
Yeah, I've always heard that.
I thought they were more bike.
Yeah, I was going to say I've always heard that our models are like based on Europe's models of.
Fuck that. No. In Canada, man, the pedestrians came.
Yeah.
Like my daughter told me, she said, "Do not jaywalk here. They'll fucking run you
just
down.
Fucking run you over." Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
Like they don't care. Like you're. Like,
I also learned an interesting thing about Hungary because the last time you were on the show, you showed us a picture of your toilet that had water in the front and a shelf in the back, and I did some research on Hungarian toilets. Because the water pressure is so shit in Hungary, people often take a dump on that shelf in the actual toilet and then scrape it forward into the bowl. There's a lot of scraping of shit going on in Hungary too. It's a very different place.
Hopefully, the bread maker. I don't know.
Actually, I have a Hungarian shit scraper right here on my desk.
Coaster.
I went to a shit in a public restaurant today, and there was a guy in the stall next to me that I'm pretty sure doesn't have long for this planet.
He probably said the same thing about you, Lachlan. Come on.
No. Man, I smell like roses compared to this old prick.
Telling you, man. It's like that lady I had in the hospital. You know they're on their way out when that's that smell.
This guy, I almost wanted to talk to him. I wanted to pull him aside and go, you need to go get checked. Like free medical here, eh? I heard you might want to go see a doctor.
It'd be funny if he said to you, "It's okay, I have a super bowel."
This guy was melting the walls in this fucking stall.
When all you do is eat sausage.
Well, let's get to that. So Lachlan's been documenting his trip. Now, most people, when they're away in an Eastern European country with thousands of years of history, they'd take pictures of things. Not Lachlan. Every single fucking picture is of what he's eating. And so, like this one, is yesterday.
That wiener bun was amazing, by the way.
The wiener bun.
The worst thing on the plate. It's so funny.
It says, Locker's European observations. You don't see a lot of fatties over here, which is surprising considering this is my breakfast.
Dude, all they eat is fucking bread, potatoes, and meat. Like, they're so proud of their sausage here.
Then you take a picture of your damn coffee in the country saying, quote, all they serve is urine-sized sample coffee cups.
It's because it's an espresso, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an espresso. Then right after that, you posted a picture of Pringles.
I had to get those.
You sure this isn't my daughter's Instagram? Because it feels like we're looking at my daughter's Instagram.
Angle. That's what the advertiser guy would be like. Yeah, take it from an angle with the wider length.
That's you know what that is.
Really
he's got a picture of the paprika Pringles. I've never seen these before. But again, just more food you can get in convenience stores. This one was cool because this is the scene of the crime. This is a picture of the Chinese food that you ordered in a Hungarian food court, which I got to be honest with you, if I was in Hungary on week 10, I'd probably go looking for Chinese in the food court too.
Well, I have had a lot of like Hungarian food. I'm not going to lie, man. I've had some really good dishes. I mean, obviously the goulash here. I mean, you can't go wrong. We've had some stews and stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, today I saw that Thai restaurant and I had to have that. It was
good.
Good.
Jam that into a sausage for you, or
yeah, can you? And then, of course, a picture of an energy drink that Bruce Willis humps over in Hungary. Because I guess that's what you take a picture of. And then this one he took today, he found Budweiser, I think. Not sure. Budvar. He's drinking it right now. Like literally, dude. Like if most people go on like a European vacation, they take pictures of things, people, stuff that you can't normally see. You're just taking a picture of the things you're eating and drinking. Like that's all your trip is.
I put a fucking statue up there, didn't I?
He did. He did. He actually was mimicking the statue like a North American tourist does in Europe. It was kind of the
it was like a 1,200-year-old statue. You took one picture of it, but there's about 40 pictures of the shit that you've eaten and drank, and that's it. That's why I love this vacation you're on, because I would do the exact same fucking thing.
Most of my observations are about toilets as well.
Yeah.
There's a serious lack of water in the toilets in this fucking country. I know I brought it up last time I was here, but
fucking unbelievable. Anyway, dude, I am so happy that you called in today, and I know that we're arranging something for like a Christmas Eve or no New Year's Eve show. Is that correct? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Well, yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna, because we have the music shit, right?
Yeah.
We got to talk about that.
Okay,
I don't know.
So we won't talk about it, but we're gonna talk about it. Yeah,
we're doing. I just got us all baby blue tuxedos too.
Did you really?
So yeah,
for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, Bonzi's going to join us, so I'm getting Bonzi, myself, and Jimmy, the midget, all suited up in baby blue tuxedos for our New Year's Eve celebration.
Yeah, we talked to Bonzi yesterday, and he was really excited. He's like, dude, did you hear? I'm going to be on Lachlan's New Year's Eve show. I'm going to be on it. And I'm like, that's awesome. He goes, do you understand how big this is for me? I go, I don't think Lachlan's looking at it as if it's your big break. I think he's just planning a show and you're an asset. And he's like, it's huge for me, dude. Edmonton, big time. And I'm like, great, good for you. But my point was this, is that he's so excited that, and it's like unreasonable excitement too. Like he's so excited for this. He legitimately thinks he's doing like New Year's Eve with Ryan Seacrest. So you might want to temper his
He's the new Dick Clark. Dick Clark.
He's going to be wildly disappointed because like all we're doing is playing songs.
Yeah, I know.
He's gonna sit there. It's gonna be 2 hours in. He's gonna his
basically what it is.
He's gonna be having his 5th beer, and he's gonna. This is not what I thought.
Oh yeah, he'll be shroomed out of his mind. He'll be an absolute liability. But I'm doing it. Yeah,
Bonzi, do you want to push the button this time?
Yeah, literally. There's 2 buttons in radio now. Mic on, mic off, and hit play. Yeah,
that's it. That's all you got to do.
He'll have fun.
Yeah, he will. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to talking to our next guest. So really happy she got a chance to join us. Please welcome Nurse Kat, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
She vlogs with us. Nurse Kat is in the house. Don't you look lovely in front of that feature wall? Look at that. Look at that. Sorry if we were talking a little bit too much about Lachlan's journey through Hungary and all the dumps that he's been taking in shelfie toilets.
I'm a nurse. Like, that's new to me.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no kidding. How
do people
are you? Great
smell worse on their way out, Nurse Kat? Like, if they've got like a week to go.
Is there something to that? Because Lachlan took a dump next to a dude who seems to think that he's dying. Is that indicative of someone who's in bad health? Is that, the bowel movements are just...
It can be. I mean, with patients, I want to know how often you go and what it looks like, what color it is, how it smells. I ask a lot of really invasive questions that people don't often appreciate, but that can be indicative of your state of health. Nobody's comfortable with constipation. If you don't go after 3 days, we have ways of making you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Or else you're going in after it.
Here's your divorce papers.
Going in after it. Well, listen, glad you're here. Yeah, Lachlan could use some help, and we'll get to that in just a couple minutes. But Kat blogs with us, and I tagged Kat in on the whole COVID conversation over this last, I would say, what do you think, Kat? Like 3-4 months. I noticed. Yeah. So where are you a nurse? She's a legitimate nurse. She's a medical professional. Where do you nurse? Where do you do your work?
Okay, well, I don't want to be too specific about my employer, but I will say that I've been a nurse for 17 years. I work primarily with a geriatric population, so vulnerable people in a congregate setting. These are people who are at high risk for COVID. And I've worked in other settings. I've worked in downtown Toronto hospitals. I've been, 17 years is a long time. I've done a lot, seen a lot. Love my job that I have right now. I love my patients. I love my coworkers. The last 20 months have been horrific for all of us, as they have for anybody, right? We're all really struggling. But I think, there's been an undercurrent of vaccine hesitancy or anti-vaxxers for years now. This is not new, but it certainly has come to a head in the past 20 months with this public health emergency. People who used to be on the fringe are now being given a platform, and they're loud, they're the minority, but it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
Nobody wants to hear about somebody that's boring and taking precautions seriously. That's not newsworthy anymore nowadays. It's got to be shock and awe, right? So
it's not newsworthy and it's not lucrative. A lot of these people who are leading the vaccine hesitant, and I struggle to use that term these days because I find as the pandemic drags on, people aren't hesitant. At the beginning, I was like, okay, it's a new vaccine. They don't understand mRNA. I can grasp why they would have concerns. But now at this point, it's like anybody who doesn't understand the importance or how these vaccines function are generally fact resistant. They don't want to learn. I'll still sit there and talk to you and show you study after study after study, but they honestly just don't want to hear it. They're following either through a lack of education, something in their past they didn't, have exposure to an adequate science background, or they've fallen prey to grifters. And those are the people I really have the problem with. The fringe outliers of science who've decided that it's more profitable to lead these people down the garden path. And it is profitable. These people sell books. Andrew Wakefield lives in a mansion. These people really, really, really thrive on that. And these people who are either scared or on the fence sometimes fall on that side because they don't understand science. And that's a problem with us as science communicators. We don't make it accessible. We don't make it easy for the layperson to understand. And I really try to, make it in terms that people who don't have a science background can grasp. But if they've gone down that path of Andrew Wakefield or Byram Bridle or, pick any of the people who are profiting from this.
Robert Malone.
Yeah, Robert Malone, who was a legitimate scientist at one point. He was, but he seems to have gone
Joe
down.
Rogan.
I can make profit from this. And people listen to him because he has doctor in front of his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Locke brought up Joe Rogan too, even though he doesn't have Dr.
Joe.
Yeah.
So, listen, we hooked up because I loved your content. Like, I watched you trying to bat people around, trying to funnel people into actual information. And as a blogger or podcaster or media type, I got tired of it. Like it was to the point where I'm like, listen, I can't keep telling you to get vaccinated. I can't keep showing you guys this stuff. So what I did was I saw Nurse Kat, and she and I had started to talk back and forth on Twitter, which was a beautiful thing. Twitter's actually good for some things. And Kat was responding to the same things I was responding to. So what I would do when someone asked me a question about vaccine efficacy is I would just tag Kat in. And it was hysterical because I thought, oh my God, what have I done to this poor woman? Because people like this came out of the woodwork. This woman here, Claire McGill. Remember her, Kat? Do you remember Claire McGill?
I do indeed. I got a message from her employer this morning saying that she no longer is employed there. So
she'll be missed.
Yeah, but the tweet was edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The tweet was so worth it.
Totally worth it.
Dude, this was her. This is so Kat is responding to this woman, and she basically says, here's the science you're looking for. Now, this woman, keep in mind, was tweeting all of us, and she said, I'm quoting her, I'm paraphrasing her. She's like, oh yeah, well, I did a rapid antigen test on my dog, some fruit, and a raspberry, and it all came back negative. What do you guys have? That's literally how stupid she is. And because she didn't get the answer, she went after Nurse Kat personally. I don't know who you are, waking up every day knowing how fucking disgusting you look, how stupid you are. If you're not married, you'll probably die alone. If you are, he probably fucks a hotter model. Nasty bitch, she calls Nurse Kat.
Jesus.
This is a nurse.
Okay.
This is a nurse like saving people, trying to give people life.
I'm a nurse. If that's the worst insult she can come up with, she's going to have to be more creative. I've heard worse from 80-year-olds with the
I was just going to say, if you work with palliative care and dementia patients, that's a friendly greeting in the morning. Right. Or when they're sundowning, they're heading to bed.
For every Claire, there's 100 more of her. I have a stack of them. I could read them out. Like, Nurse Kat reads mean tweets, because they're not just mean. Some of them are really hateful. I don't care. And I don't mind you batting things in my direction, because my big thing is say your shit, but back it up. So if you can say something to me and back it up with a study or a citation or a credible source, I'll listen to you. The minute you start rambling about your opinion and my neighbor's dog swiping, using precious COVID tests for my raspberry, the conversation's over and all gloves are off. I'll still try and be respectful, but I mean, I'm all about evidence. You need to show me evidence. And so many people don't, and then they devolve into insults, which means they've lost the argument right off the bat.
I think it's good. I love hearing this, because I've been saying for a year or something that smart people need to like find a way to reach the hesitant or what anti-vaxxers, whatever you want to call them, because it's not working. And I think what's interesting is that when you enter conversations like that and feed them science without the snark, if they don't start with you, I'm sure after that the gloves are off and you can kick their ass, whatever. But I think it's more productive to do what you're doing, and also because whoever you're talking to on any given day, the dark side, if you want to put it like that, has like a 1.5 year head start on all the data that it's been giving this person. And then someone comes with a fact that's pro-vaccine, and it's nothing compared to the mountain of stuff that they've been learning over the last 1.5 years. So I don't know, there's so many little challenges. I find it really interesting. I don't look at it with the frustration that my friends do. And I think often it's because I live in the sticks and they live in the city where it impacts them more. But we know that the number has to go up, and I don't know how to do that, but I think you're part of the solution. So well done.
I hope so. I like to think I've convinced people. I think I had better success when the vaccines first came out and people were genuinely on the fence and open to the science. Right now, the people who I'm arguing with are not open to facts.
No.
They're be on street corners that I'm murdering little babies by giving vaccines. They're threatening me with the Nuremberg trials because they don't understand what experimentation means, and they think that the vaccine is an experiment. They don't understand how vaccines are developed. They don't understand that funding is a huge part of developing vaccines, and all that red tape worldwide was evaporated, and scientists were able to concentrate on that so much more. I'm just a nurse. No, I shouldn't say just a nurse, but I'm a nurse. I am not a scientist, but I know that the people in my life that are scientists, they're not grifters. They all have families. The accusation that they're in it for money and they're all being paid off is completely ridiculous. They are trying to do what is right for everybody, and they're struggling with that because they're getting pushback and literal threats. I've had threats. So, and
what kind of threats? What kind of threats? What are we talking here? Like threats to come to your house and like toilet paper your front door, that kind of stuff?
No,
Did John Hughes threaten you?
Sorry?
John Hughes is a movie reference. Yeah.
I missed it. I'm at work all the time. I don't watch movies.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, not like personal physical threats yet, but I do know nurses who have gotten those. With me, it's mostly like, I'm going to come to your workplace. You're going to stand on trial, the Nuremberg thing, You're going to be hung for crimes against humanity. Like, I actually have a file folder of the best ones because they're hilarious.
Oh, save those.
You know what you should say to a guy that sent you that? Oh yeah, well, you'll never be hung.
Nobody's ever accused you of being hung.
Yeah.
Locke, you wanted to say something?
Well, I was just going to say that the thing that I've sort of realized, and I think we're at that point now where it's not pointless, and I think obviously your motivation is quite a bit different than ours. I mean, because you're a nurse, you see this day to day. But I've reached a point now with people where the ones that are still not wearing a mask, refuse to get vaccinated, like you're not going to convince them. I have friends that I'm just like, they're not going to. It's not going to happen, and it's just fucking pointless.
Yeah.
But they were also they were wired this way before this began. Like they were the guys you would have arguments in the bar with about 9/11.
They didn't need this to be fucked, right? Like they were fucked to begin with. This is just a reason.
It's just another level. It's just the next thing in a line of many things in their lives that they have attached themselves to the opposing opinion to, and they've just created this narrative for their own lives, right? that group has always been there. This is just another list of a long list of things that they refuse to believe.
They've been there for a long time, but COVID gave us the opportunity to have the ability to count them.
Yeah.
And they
They're
find
not
each other on the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
That's a good point,
They used
James.
to be people at the mall yelling at the sky, like one guy, and now they found each other, and now there's a group of people yelling at the sky, which
That's
is less
one disadvantage of social media.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
said the same thing. We'd
you
be out of this
created a
probably
tent?
by now.
You've created a tent for these fuckers,
yeah.
right? Like, yeah.
That adage is from a David Frum book, and I recycled it once, but it's that quote is so accurate about how every town used to have like a village idiot, and then the internet was the tool that made them find each other.
Yeah.
And that's why everything's all
Yeah.
fucked up.
So true.
Yeah, and Kat, like, what is that like? Because we're not in the medical profession, right? Like, we get frustrated by seeing it, but we have the ability to shut it out. You don't have the ability to shut it out in a 16-hour shift. When you're tweeting, hey, off to another 16-hour shift to save people's lives who really don't want their lives to be saved, and you continue to do it. But like, how has your job morphed, and how has it changed from a respect portion? Because up until 2 years ago, nurses and doctors were it. Like you just said, whatever you know, give it to me because I count you to be the professional. Now you got people showing up at your work telling you that what you see in there isn't even real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how has that changed for you? Like, how has your job changed and the respect level changed over the past 2 years?
Well, I can't describe how demoralizing it is to have watched 37 people die of a communicable disease and then have some Yahoo on a corner yell at me that it's all fake and that I'm making it up. I tell them that and anti-vaxxers have a playbook, right? They start at one point and then they gish gallop. They move from subject to subject, trying to get a got you from you.
Yeah.
And they go from, it's fake, how there's no actual dead bodies. They are hiding the real cause. How many comorbidities did the person have? You have no idea how many people in the general population have a comorbidity, whether it's obesity. I'm overweight. They like to point that out. Or
You're good, baby.
By the way, you're beautiful. You're beautiful, Kat. Yeah.
I could be a little thinner, and they don't need to point that out. I'm aware of that. But it's like this ladder of deflection that they go through, and to go to work and look after people that I love. My coworkers are the best people. You want them looking after you. They are so good, so compassionate. And to go to work day in, day after day, and have those long hours, miss your breaks because nurses are so disrespected right now. Bill 124 that Doug Ford brought in, capping our wage at less than 1%. That doesn't help. People scream that we're short-staffed because nurses were fired because they're anti-vaxxers. That's not true. That's not true. Nurses are leaving because we are exhausted. You cannot do 16-hour shifts 6 days a week and keep going in with a smile on your face and being competent at your job. Do you want somebody who's worked 5 16-hour shifts in a row giving out your narcotics? I don't think you do.
No, you didn't give me my prescription
I
yet,
do.
sir.
I do.
No, you
I
did
do.
not give me
Yeah,
my
I do.
prescription yet.
Locke does. Ryan does.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
They don't give
No,
me examples. So,
Wrong
but-
crowd.
Wrong crowd to say who wants the wrong drugs.
Yeah.
You're
I pretty much
right.
have a whole pharmacy
be
right over there.
inadvertently killing your loved one, which would be the result if you're tired, and then it is thrown back on us that we willingly accepted the shift, so we are at fault. So, I mean, nurses really have to be proactive in their own mental health right now and their self-care, because nobody's going to look after us. We have to look after us. And there's a perception that nurses are doctors' handmaidens, that we just walk around after the doctor, handing out Tylenol. It's a little more involved with that than that. It's hard. I don't know how to describe how it feels being a nurse right now. I never expected this. I expected when I signed up for nursing school that I would deal with a communicable disease because I went to school just after SARS, which I think killed something like 40 people in Toronto. I mean, compare that to this. There's no comparison, especially when people use death as a metric. Yes, thousands of people who have caught COVID have died. Here's the thing. There is a 10 to 40% chance that even people with asymptomatic disease, so you have the sniffles, you don't have any other symptoms at all, develop long-term consequences. I caught COVID off of a patient last November, and I still don't have my sense of smell. I'm grateful. I'm alive. I don't have the heart problems that some of my patients do. I don't have some of these other debilitating conditions that, you're unable to work. You're unable to do that. But the anti-vaxxers don't focus on that. They focus on the 99% survival rate, which is false. It's about 98.2, which is still the equivalent of 8 Seattles dead in the US alone. And then there's the 10 to 40% risk of long-term consequences. You're going to end up with myocarditis, which is a much more pervasive condition in COVID itself than it is with any of the vaccines. They like to throw that at me. Oh, but Pfizer causes myocarditis. You know what causes myocarditis? Fucking COVID.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't want to get this disease, but they think it's a cold. They think, well, the survival rate is so high. Survival rate is not the only metric.
Yeah. And no one pays attention to the long haul stuff, right? Like, we've got a couple of people that are on puffers that work at deanblundell.com and that were perfectly healthy prior to this whole thing. We've got other people that have a hard time going up the stairs because of it. I would think
my mom
that in
kidney issues.
Your mom has kidney issues now?
For over a year now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
seeing specialists.
And we don't talk about these things because they continue to latch on to, things that they think are going to give them an open-ended discussion, and some have some kind of fucking mileage to it, right? But it doesn't have mileage because they're not talking about the real shit. None of them are, because they're too fucking stupid. And when you've got people like Nurse Kat out there telling people, no, that's not how this works, here's the actual study. The amazing part to me is, like, I tweeted this morning, and it was just a fucking simple tweet. Because I was doing some research and I was looking at some stuff on the CDC's website. And one of the things that they were talking about is the death rate according to 100,000. So this is per the CDC this morning. Unvaccinated is 6.1 deaths per 100,000. If you're vaccinated, it's 0.5 deaths per 100,000. If you're vaccinated and boosted, it's 0.1 deaths for 100,000. You know what I got from people after I put that up, the anti-vax group? It was like, oh yeah, where's the fucking article? Where's the article that comes with this? Where's the source material? And I'm like, go look it up. I'm not fucking Google, you stupid shit. And
what they mean is meme. Where's the meme?
Yeah, where's the meme?
Right. And then they'll send me a screen cap of a graph that has no source attached to it.
If I don't see Denzel Washington in this, then it's probably not
real.
True.
Yeah.
I had a discussion with somebody today about you're better off to be for natural immunity. There's zero benefit to vaccination as opposed to natural immunity, and this was a study from like months ago.
Yeah,
and it made some good points, but right in the conclusion of the own study that they used to try and like show me, it says right there, this is not advice to tell you not to get vaccinated. If you have not had COVID, go get vaccinated now, immediately.
Well,
like, it's like
that you bring up a good point, Ryan. I think that's part of the issue that's been frustrating me so much, is that I think there's a number of conversations we need to have about the mistakes we made, about the messaging, about the timing of things, about the lack of consistency from one country to the next, from one level of political, politics to the next, and to conversations, the nuanced conversations we should be having and could be having that they don't have because they're so worried about how it's misinterpreted from that 10%. 10%. That 10% is completely fucking up everything that everybody needs to hear right now, because they're so worried about them, these idiots that have already made up their minds misinterpreting something. So they're overthinking everything now, right? Like,
what a perfect
and we
storm,
have
though.
made a couple of missteps.
That perfect storm of all these elements sort of colliding, and then this disease that doesn't feel scary to a lot of people. Like, it's not leprosy. It's not, something where it's like, oh my gosh, if you get it 20 minutes later, you got to go to the hospital. So it's like, it's easy to convince people that it's not really a pandemic if you've never seen any suffering around you. Do you know what I mean?
If you know,
suffering, they don't change their minds in many cases. There's been cases in the States where people have been on ventilators and they've denied that they've even got COVID to staff. So
this isn't a ventilator.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
It's a cartoon.
Okay with that.
It's all fake.
Well, dude, how about that?
Can you not just unplug those people first? Like,
yeah.
If you haven't done it,
jet fuel can't melt the truth, man.
I'd like to keep my license.
Well, dude, how about that guy Mark
gonna
Friesen
say
from Saskatchewan,
I'm not
like the
gonna
Mark
say
Friesen PPC guy, and he's in Toronto. He just came out of a coma like last month. He's been here for 3 months. And
he's back in Saskatoon now, apparently. Yeah, like literally like a week ago, I think they finally went back to long-term care in Saskatoon.
So this
what
guy
is
was
he saying
PPC.
He got?
He said
he finally admitted it. No, he finally admitted he had COVID. He did in the latest post. Yes, I had COVID, but this is not because. And he's still telling people don't get vaccinated. I wasn't vaccinated, and I was able to survive. Meanwhile, the guy's lungs are Swiss cheese.
He's got necrotizing. Have you heard of? I didn't know what this was, Nurse Cat. What is necrotizing pneumonia? What is that?
Pneumonia is a catchphrase for a lot of different things. You can have bacterial pneumonia, you know, and necrotizing basically means your flesh is disintegrating. It's rotting. It's like necrotizing fasciitis, which is flesh-eating disease. It's literally when your flesh
rots.
On
the inside.
On the inside. So that sounds delightful, right? Sign me up. He got that. I
had that.
And he's just like, I did fine, not realizing that millions of dollars were wasted on his care. Hundreds of healthcare workers put themselves at risk caring for him. And he's just peachy keen with that.
Yeah.
Can we not shoot him? Like, is that...
Again...
Lachlan wants to radicalize Nurse Cat into like the next Elizabeth Wetlaufer.
Again,
I'm not there.
Listen,
yet.
Nurse, we will not say a word.
Yeah,
promise. We'll edit this part out.
Count on us.
Yeah.
No, she's got a job to do. That's what makes Nurse
we have a
Cat
delay button.
So special. No, we don't. No, it's all out there now, dude. You're just talking about offing it.
But we do have a silencer.
Oh, yeah. No, but like that's the incredible part to me, right? Like all of this, we talk about the craziness, we talk about all that stuff. The incredible part to me is that we've got a segment of professionals in our medical community that get up every day to go in and deal with this stuff. Thanklessly, being challenged, being told that you're lying, being told the government's in, and you're like, yeah, that's great. Let's just get this thing into your arm. No, I don't want it. You have to have it or you're going to die. No, I don't want. And like we were talking to Ryan's wife before we got on. She is also in the medical field, and she's like, I got threatened to be choked twice this morning. Like, it's fucking bizarre. Mm-hmm. The turnaround in how we treat our medical professionals. And Lachlan's right. I mean, it didn't have to be the pandemic for this. And same with James. James, right. It didn't have to be this thing. They were going to be like this no matter what. Like, it didn't fucking matter if it was the pandemic or something else, right? They're just stupid.
A lot of that is political, especially in the States. I mean, it doesn't matter what Joe Biden says, if it's anything to do with vaccines or anything.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
The people who don't like him and the Trump supporters are going to go against it. Yeah. So, I mean, when did science become political? I'm not sure, because we should be following the scientists. And then they throw at me that the scientists are bought and paid for, which if you know any of the scientists I know, like my friend, Dr. Lisa Porter, University of Windsor, she could use some money for her grants. So if anybody wants to throw money at her, that would be great. But I mean, she spends all her time applying for funding so that she can do the research on cancer that she does and that she loves. So, I mean, the thought that we're, I don't know what the answer is. I actually run out of words at sometimes.
When you consume that kind of content, and I'm talking about like when you watch Plandemic and you watch documentaries like that are, meant to spread disinformation about a certain subject like this. If you watch like more than 10 hours of that stuff, it's pretty convincing. Or at least it was when I was in my early 20s or something. Like the 9/11 stuff. The 9/11 stuff was especially.
Yep.
I studied the shit out of that, and I was just like. And then when it got to the cartoon planes, I was like, okay, I'm out of here.
No, but you get sucked into it. You do. You fall into that rabbit hole, and that's what they call it. Like you're falling into those holes. And I used to do the same thing. Mine was JFK and 9/11. Used to love trying to figure out why it wasn't just, we couldn't just apply Occam's razor and say the easiest answer is probably the answer. And it's dangerous for somebody that just can't pull themselves back out of that hole. And
it's
just constantly
no plane hit the Pentagon clearly because there was never any evidence for that.
But like constantly barraged with fucking.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This is what you're forgetting. And I think Lachlan made mention of it 2 seconds ago, and he's like, yeah, I don't get into that shit. It's like
I can't live in a world where even if it is true, I can't get up tomorrow morning and go about my day thinking that a government killed 3,000 of its own people to start a war over oil. I can't fucking do it. I know they've done it before, and I understand that, and I that's why I can't watch that shit.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
Because
like
you
don't want to believe it.
I don't want to believe it. I can't.
Yeah.
I get that.
I just
well, and I've watched all of it. Like I watched the Alex Jones Bilderberg stuff like 10 years ago when he came out with that thing on 9/11, and I'm like, this guy's a fucking lunatic. Like the behavior itself told me that none of the shit in there was believable, right? Like, and that was just one of those things. And then I go back to and I do the same thing for the pandemic. Like, oh my fucking God, everyone's in on it. Everyone. And they want to kill 90% of the population, and they want to leave the dumbest 10% with all our shit. Are you fucking joking right now?
And no money to pay taxes, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're the tastiest, apparently. Apparently, they cook well,
Well, and my dad, I was on the phone with my dad one of the 2 times a year I talked to him, and he was telling me that the media is the reason why. And I'm like, Dad, I'm in the media. And do you think I'm the reason why this is a pandemic? Yeah. So if I stop talking about it, it's going to go away.
What do you say?
He says, maybe we should change the subject.
You know what? I'm going to get a hold of your dad and tell him the real reason why you're in Europe is to pick up your check.
Yeah, from Pfizer. Pick up the
It
Pfizer
is part
check.
of the reason. Your dad is technically correct. Like it's a partial reason. Like the media has not done a good job. It was this perfect storm of all this stuff that we've talked about millions of times. Government messaging, awful, or just completely recycled verbatim from the WHO, who then had to correct it later. The media, fear.
Absolutely.
Social engineering. The personalities like Ezra Levant, fundraising and grifting and Chris Guy and all this kind of stuff. But it's a disjointed machine of a perfect storm. Like it's not like this well-oiled, operation. It's all these ragtaggers going out there and spreading this stuff, and some of them are grifting, and some of them really believe it and are trying to help people because they believe in this. It's so fucking frustrating.
Well, the good news for us is that pretty much at this point, if you've done any studying, and Orion wrote a great piece on it. I put a study out the other day that actually came from Canada that basically said, hey, the pseudoscience bullshit you guys all believe, by the way, you have to be a low IQ individual to be able to believe anything. They're just not, they're cognitively delayed, which brings up another question. Like, that's
wait. What's an IQ? What?
You believe in that shit? You believe in IQs? You think they're fucking real?
Who'd you get the test from? Right? And I'm going to play this for you. I want you guys to watch this.
Isn't it? Doesn't that bother you guys? No. I am the dummest guy you will ever meet.
No, you're not.
I swear
That's
to God.
That's the thing. The fact that you're here and you're vaccinated
I was educated
means you're
in
not.
Yak, BC. Honestly, I left that town. There was 300 people in that town. There was 18 people in my graduating class. I was honors, and I thought I was smart. Then I met my wife, and I was like, holy fuck, I'm an idiot. I'm basically a functioning moron.
You're the Duke of Mound. Or whatever that place is called.
Yes. Can I just play this and then we'll let Nurse Kat go? But I want to play this. And Kat, I thought this would summarize our conversation before we had it because I kind of knew what we were going to talk about. You guys are aware of my friend Stuart Brittlestar, Canada's dad. You may have heard of him. He did this little skit, and he does these fucking skits as a way to troll these idiots, but he's so nice about it. But the way that he actually put this together, I'm like, well, that makes all the sense in the world to me. There isn't an anti-vaxxer that watches this that doesn't go, yeah, you're right, I'm an idiot. Watch this. It's fucking awesome.
I can't believe it sank. Me either. I think it was an inside job by someone on the ship to sink the ship. Exactly. I agree. Ahoy! It's the Carpathia. We've come to rescue you. Where'd they come from? We'll throw down life preservers. Grab on and we'll lift you to safety. Bit convenient, don't you think? The Titanic sinks and they just show up? I don't trust them. What's for dinner? What? What are you serving for dinner? I think tonight's roast beef. Is it an open bar? What? Don't be so elusive. He asked if it's an open bar. You know, all we can drink. I'm gonna need a stiff drink. It's cold here in the ocean. No, it's not an open bar, but you're going to drown. You need to get on board now. Nah. We're gonna see how this plays out. Yeah, I mean, what happens if the Carpathia sinks? We'll get another ship to rescue us. Oh, there it is. A never-ending line of ships that we have to get on. Pathetic. Don't you think? Jack? Jack?
I thought that was fucking awesome. Because
Fucking
isn't that what's
great.
happening? Like, isn't science and everybody else, nurses, doctors, some politicians, generally professionals, people, workplaces, friends, aren't we all trying to tell these people grab onto that fucking life raft? Like, isn't that what we're doing? And they're all like, that's really weird that you have a fucking life raft available. Yeah. Like, isn't that what it is? Isn't that what we're
I'm
doing?
giving up. I'm not doing that. Fuck them.
I actually saw somebody calling him some of the worst names I've ever heard people call a human being, and it's the Brittle Star, like the nicest guy in Canada on the internet. I was like, you're so fucking lost.
Yeah, it's just fucked. We're surrounded by fuckery. Nurse Cat at Hey Nurse Cat on Twitter is where you can find her. She is a tremendous follow. You're a hero. I want to thank you for your work. You did a great article. You can read it at deanblundell.com. It's called From the Front Lines, A Nurse Speaks Out, where she doles what she's been talking about here, trying to inform people, which is incredible. And I cannot believe how you hold your steely resolve and don't tell people to go fuck their hats. But don't give up, as Locke says.
My boss likes
doing a
to
great
call
job.
me antagonistic. So,
What? You should file a human
Mildly?
rights complaint immediately.
I love her, but she's like,
Oh,
you're
no,
very
you can't.
antagonistic, which for a nurse manager is kind of like really harsh criticism. But hey,
No, we
Just
love you.
tell her I know where the power cord is on the ventilator.
I will unplug it to put my phone charger there.
So I can tweet more about these potatoes.
Thanks, Kat. Really
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much.
Great
Okay,
job.
Take care. We'll talk to you soon again. That is Nurse Cat. Hey, Nurse Cat on Twitter. How great is she?
I like
How
her.
fucking awesome is
Fantastic.
she?
Yeah.
Love her.
She's like the
She's
prototypical nurse. Like I noticed that when my wife had her two kids, the thing that made that hospital run the way it ran were the nurses. Doctors were
When
very
your wife
scared.
had her two kids?
I was just going to ask the same question here.
I thought I said our, but if I said hers, then it's only because I'm browbeaten for 12 years. Why?
Okay, well, that's what I was
Right.
asking.
Making
I don't know.
All right,
Whatever.
it's going.
It came out
Hey,
of her. It might as well be hers.
Yeah, I get it. Way to give her credit for your
I tried to
kids.
put him back in. Doesn't work.
I'm kind of on James's side. They're never your kids.
Did you guys see the NHL shutdown? Locke, are you following this from Hungary? You
I have not been
Yeah.
following this at all. Now, did
Good.
they shut down because of numbers going up in
Yeah.
locker rooms?
Yeah, 20% of players in the NHL have tested positive for COVID as of today. It's a quarter of the league, right?
League-wide.
League-wide, 20% of the players. They're not even saying like
fucked.
7 guys from this team, 4 guys. Like the entire Calgary Flames organization has got COVID, right? So everybody's so they shut the whole thing down. I'm going to read you this. This is from the NHL with no games currently scheduled Wednesday, December 22nd. That's today because of the COVID-related postponements. National Hockey League and the Players Association have agreed to postpone the 5 games that remain scheduled on the Thursday, December the 23rd, in order to begin collectively bargaining. Bargain holiday break effective with the conclusion of the game tomorrow night. That was last night. That is tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Players will report back to their clubs December 26th, which should be used for testing, practice, blah, blah, blah. No individual in the team's traveling party shall enter the facility other than for testing purposes until they have negative test results. NHL's regular season will resume on December the 27th. So, what does that mean?
Hopefully, this doesn't fuck up the Habs' chances.
Oh, another year without the cup for the Leafs, I guess.
Habs made it to the
The
Stanley Cup
Habs are like
Finals.
6-30, by the way. So they're like,
Thank God for
COVID.
Arizona. You'd be 32nd, Montreal.
Wow.
So-
still gonna get that number one pick.
Before we end up getting into the Olympics side of it, I've got a thought, but I know you want to keep going with the hockey stuff, but
Well, get your
the
thought.
league stuff. No, I'm wondering, is it a face-saving thing for the easy out of the Olympics because of all the heat that's going
It's a
on?
great question.
No.
That came down about 2 hours ago. We reported on it this morning. The NHL has officially pulled players in the PA, has officially pulled players out of the Olympics. So no NHL players in the Olympics this year.
And that announcement came after the COVID shutdown announcement.
After the COVID announcement. And here's why. Because last summer when they were bargaining about whether or not players should be allowed to go and play in the Olympics, they said if there's no material change to the NHL schedule due to COVID, and now we have a material change to the NHL schedule due to COVID, so that 3-week break is needed to go and make up 5 or 6, maybe 7 Flames games, and everybody else is going to need to fly around and make those games up. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, fucking how incredible would that be if you're Sidney Crosby or anybody else that's been tapped to go to the Olympics for Canada? And because to a player, and I've talked to some of the players, they don't want to go. They didn't want to go before this whole thing happened. They were like, nah, they wanted to play in the Olympics, but they didn't want to play in the Olympics in China in the middle of a fucking pandemic. If you have $110 million in the bank like Sidney Crosby, and there's a 3-week break at Christmas, in February, how on earth do you go, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to say yes to the opportunity to go to a communist, murderous dictatorship country and put them on the map and support that country and show the world how great Beijing is while they're murdering Muslims by the thousands daily. Yeah. And I still can't get my head past that.
Players think that
well, see, this is the thing. Some of the hockey players do. Like I talked to a couple of guys in the PA, and I talked to some of the guys in the league who have played in the Olympics before, and they checked in with some of the guys who had the nod to go to the Olympics this year in Beijing. And to a player, almost all of them were like, "We'll do it, but fuck, like it's the epicenter of disease. It's the epicenter of dictatorship and communism
political
and
unrest,
human rights, political unrest. They just gave us back the two Michaels like 2 months ago. They were in fucking jail for no reason for 2 years because China was just pissed.
Mad at Huawei.
If you're a player, are you thinking like, my God, if I say the wrong thing on the podium in Beijing, I could have guys come to my room at night and haul me away to jail for 2 years.
Or if they tested positive the day before they're supposed to go home and everybody leaves without them and they're stuck in fucking Beijing. On their own, you know what I mean? Like there was so many things here. I'm wondering if what was the league's thought on the way in to the Olympics before they didn't want a part of this. I don't think they wanted this at all right from the get go.
There's so much pressure though.
Okay,
to put those players on that ice every year.
There's
regardless
from who.
It's a political thing.
That's what I mean. From policy, but I mean from an NHL standpoint, what was the NHL's? I'll say what
they're the ones getting the pressure.
If you took their temperature 6 months ago, though, or 8 months ago, when they realized that that this is going to go, what were they? Were they like, "Fuck, we don't want to do this, but we're going to bow to the pressure, the political pressure we're getting"?
Politics. Sorry,
or are they using this as the thankful scapegoat? Like, is the league happy? I would have to assume they're happy.
They're
about
stoked.
This.
I talked to a guy in the NHL office yesterday who kind of gave me the information. I'm like, how does the NHL feel about players not going to the Olympics? Are you fucking kidding me? Do you remember what happened a few years ago? And I can't remember who it was. It was Tavares when he was with fucking the Islanders, hurt his knee in the Olympics. And they're like, see, this is why we fucking don't go to the Olympics. Yeah. Right? Because he was out for the rest of the year with a knee injury. So the players are actually feeling pretty positive about it. Means they'll get a little bit of break. Not much one. They're going to get a nice little Christmas break. Everybody's going to heal up. It's the owners who are like, oh, fuck. Thank God. Because those are all
their
assets,
investments
right?
are just, they're just leaving. They're just letting them go. Who knows what the fuck is going to happen to them?
The blueprint of those politics looks like this. Rich Chinese companies, oftentimes owned by the state, if not always, have become like a sort of donor class in amongst themselves in not just the United States, but in Canada as well. So the political influence comes from these donors and then the politicians. And right now in the United States, especially, the right wing is like super, super, super charged up about China. They basically say that China's becoming like a competitor that we can't really control. Like they won't listen to influence geopolitically and all that kind of stuff. So America doesn't really know what to do with them. And so behind the scenes, there's all this posturing politically about China's oppression of the Uyghurs, and then China's, pointing out, American human rights violations by drone programs and stuff like that. And they're doing a big tit for tat.
Pointing out Canada's native problem.
Really honest about it, we could have just as legit reasons, like dropped out of the Sochi games. Anyone could boycott the United States if the next Olympics were there for a litany of reasons, or as Bonzi would say, a plethora of reasons.
Plethora. Yes. A plethora.
Okay. Well,
do you guys, Locke? Do you think that we should pull? I think Canada should just fucking pull out.
The problem I have with it is that it is political, and that you're making these decisions based on people's lives that aren't political.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
okay. So
The
take
athletes.
a hockey player out
Good
of it
point.
that makes millions of dollars, right? Also, can we also point out that if you put 100 NHL players in a room, you're probably not going to figure out long division with any of them. Okay, so I don't
And
know
you might
why
leave
we
with a
think
disease
that
even if
all
there
of
is no
them
COVID.
have some sort of thought process behind whether or not they should or shouldn't go to fucking China.
Yeah.
The dumbest people we went to school with were fucking hockey players. They all got fucking skated through because they were good at scoring goals. Okay, end of story. So the thing is, the pressure that these people have to compete is from, it's all money based. It's Bettman's decision to pull out, and he was smart. He put in there, but fucking up the schedule and being able to pull out because they wanted to, because they needed something to present. They needed receipts, as Dean would say, to present to the phone calls and the people that are calling. And trust me, Bettman will spend the next 3 days on the phone justifying this move. There's going to be a ton of people that are on his ass to get. This is not just politics. This is money. This is ratings. This is TV. This is
happens in the
billions
NBA.
of fucking dollars, guys.
I couldn't imagine somebody actually like not thinking it was the stupidest fucking question in the world to ask. Why are you pulling out? Like, so if he's going to get questioned, he's going to get called out on the carpet. By who? Networks? Okay, well, here's the fucking reason, and it's a very valid reason. Like, who cares?
Oh, Ryan.
You know what I mean?
There's phone calls happening right now.
Oh yeah, dude.
There's phone calls happening about people we don't even know that are
Well,
involved.
because the market, the Chinese have been introducing North American professional sports to their market incrementally for like the last 25 years or something like that. Starting, I think the NBA probably was the first one to really kind of take off there. And then you saw the last year with LeBron James. You remember that thing where I can't remember exactly what the story was. Someone flip-flopped about China in like 12
Fast
hours.
and Furious.
You know,
the Fast and Furious thing too. Remember that? Somebody made a comment about Taiwan, and then the next thing you know, he's making some major apology on video, and it was about the fact, because it wasn't John Cena. Exactly. Thank you, Positive Mike. John Cena makes some apology, not because he felt bad about it, because somebody pulled him aside and said, "You just cost us. We don't get this fucking film in theaters in China. You just cost us $12 billion. And you're telling me that the Fast and Furious franchise is doing shit like that, and the Olympics doesn't have this kind of machine behind it? I'm telling you right now that fucking this decision by the NHL is going to be the ramifications of this is so huge. And not only that, everyone's fucking terrified of China. They're terrified of them because
we've already said we're not sending our politicians. We're not sending any.
Which is a
and
joke.
we should be doing that.
it was one.
But that's a joke, isn't it? Like, to me, that's a joke.
joke.
Saying that we're going to diplomatically boycott the Olympics because we're
It's
still
like
competing.
not putting wrapping paper on Christmas presents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It was just one guy. I just
policy.
want to point out there was no like delegate. There was no like commission of Canadian diplomats. It was one dude that they are.
Well,
now
it was
not
one guy
sending over.
officially that was taking.
Yeah, I guess his
off
mistress
the list.
maybe comes. I don't know.
The
Yeah,
irony
and
of it is that kind of shit pisses them off more than anything,
Yeah.
because it's about they love saving face. Right?
That's when they started.
You know what?
That's when they started throwing the Aboriginal,
Indigenous
stuff in our face, saying,
Yeah.
well, you want to talk about
'cause
human
it pisses
rights?"
them off.
Oh,
And
dude,
you know what? They're right at the same time. Don't get me wrong. What they're saying
No,
is
they're
a
totally
lie.
Yeah.
But
No, dude, that's the thing. Is it, it's a tit for tat thing. Like, when you bring up what they're currently doing, they'll point to 200 years of what we used to do, right?
Yeah.
And you can't argue it,
they're not
especially
wrong.
if you're into accountability, because they're not wrong. Is that we've got a history of genocide as well. Hopefully over the past, 20, 30, 40 years, we would have learned from it. We're trying to make amends, and we're trying to fucking get this whole thing right. Not only do they not care about getting human rights right in China, they don't care. They're going to continue to do it. And when they continue to do it, they'll point out the history of every other country that's done anything bad to anybody. Right?
Don't they?
And
Don't they
it's a
know that
smart
we've already
thing.
cleaned up all the drinking water here?
Yeah, everything's fine. We treat everybody like gold now.
Oh, we haven't done that.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of assholes, did you guys see David Menzies from Rebel News get beat for 2 solid minutes by
Can you
Justin
play the
Trudeau's
video?
RCMP? Yeah, I'm going to play the video.
I've watched it about 4 or 5 times in Hungary, but I'd love to see it again.
What did I give her? I said something that made me laugh, and where it was like about him. Wait, for what was it for the 117th time? David Menzies found a hair in his lunch, right before he finished it. What is the meaning of this?
Okay, so this guy, because Rebel News was trending this weekend. I'm like, why the fuck are these guys trending? Because they're not news. They're just a bunch of crisis actors that beg for money. That's all they do. Their whole thing is, if you're not getting punched, you're not getting paid. And we've showed you these videos 100 times, and there are hundreds more. And
Sounds
this
like
happened
this
this
podcast.
weekend. Yeah, it does. You're not getting punched. You're not getting paid. You might even not get paid if you do get punched here. So who knows?
Right.
But this is David Menzies. He's a reporter.
We get free underwear, though.
Yeah, we do. He's a crisis
Do we?
action reporter.
No.
And he got his ass not yet. He got his ass kicked by Justin Trudeau's
We just had
personal
to send
security.
He's doing so good with us talking under him, eh? Like he did so well there. He didn't skip
just
a fucking
plows
beat.
through. Just
He
plows
got
over.
right through it. I swear he's deaf in one
I don't know
ear.
what you're talking about. Anyway, here's David Menzies getting his ass kicked for 30 seconds. We have the other minute and a half. Don't worry. We'll play it all. Here
Play
you
it
go.
all.
So he's on the sidewalk.
What are you doing?
He's been asked to move. He won't move. And here comes the good stuff.
This is assault.
And the
I'm on a
music they
side.
put.
What is
Love
this?
the music.
I'm on a sidewalk. I am on a sidewalk. What is this? You cannot touch me. No, that can't work.
Face the camera. The earpiece guys, like face the camera.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Let's go.
He's getting summoned from the pits of hell. That's so funny. Like
They got this
That music is so good.
They put
Is that a
music behind
Christmas
it.
movie?
Yeah, it is now.
That's
Yeah.
what I said. I said national because of
I
this
think it's
nice
from
snow
Constantine.
background. I said, you know what? National Lampoons used to be my favorite. This is now my favorite Christmas.
You know what we need to do? We need to put Christmas music underneath it. Something Bublé or fucking Harry Connick Jr. or something.
the
Here's
thing is
part
with that
two.
guy is that like I don't know what happened just before or after that. I don't even care because I know
I'll tell you what happened before. Can I
Yeah.
tell
Well, I
you?
know. I
I've
feel
got
like
some
I know
details,
what
too.
happened because I've been in places where he is, and I'm
Yeah.
not supposed to be there. And so I didn't go where they told me not to go. Sometimes I did, but I didn't do it like that, right? Because what he did is just basically defy them when they said, we have to keep this area clear. The prime minister is coming out of his vehicle any moment, and we're just going to keep this clear. And then Menzies was like, fuck you, I'm the fucking press, and I got spray paint on my head, and I'm going to
Exactly
go
what
fucking
he
do
did.
this shit. And, invited it.
Is that
and
paint
got
on
beat
hair?
up. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it
figure
is.
it's that hair that the can.
I've
Spray
used
on
that. I've used that.
Have you really?
Back
I
in the day.
want
It
to
doesn't
try
look
to use
good.
that just to see what would happen. Like,
Well, I put tape on for the bangs. Not a good look. And then I just drywall tape,
Yeah.
like painter's tape.
Here's another 30 seconds of
a
David
little
Menzies getting his ass kicked, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
This is when the prime minister showed up.
Yeah, PM shows up. There's his thing. They're trying to keep him away from JT. He's getting choked.
Brickworks
Now
gets a
he
good
lost
plug.
his watch. Now he's pushing back.
Guys, relax.
By the way, that's where Rob Ford used to do coke.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. There you go. Now he's mad.
That's all recorded.
It's all recorded, the guy says, because he has a buddy with him. He's like, I'm recording you. They did this on purpose. Let me remind you. They went looking for this fight, as James has pointed out. This is when Menzies grows some balls, by the way. Watch this. This is fucking hilarious to me.
Come over here. Get your hands off. You have no right to put your hands on me. Where am I? On a public sidewalk. Am I under
Two cameras.
arrest? Am I under arrest? Because you're not answering. You physically assaulted me, and so did you. And so did this guy. You're doing it again. Move your hand out of my face. Boy! Move your hand.
Guys, just punch him right in the
Headbutt him.
Right?
Yeah.
But the restraint of the undercover RCMP officers is incredible, because if I was robed with that kind of power, where, hey, anything goes when the prime minister's around, you can use elite force. You really can.
You
I
go
would have
mall cop on his ass.
I would have Paul Blarded him in the face. Wham! And then I would have said, how's that? And then if he got up, I would have done it again. Because those are those moments. Like, I respect the fact that this fucking loser, this fucking piece of shit who works for a fucking agitator agency is like, what are you doing in my face? I would have just been fucking boom. See you later, bud. See you later, bud. Good night. Have a good one. Here's the crazy part about these crisis actor things that these guys do. This is awesome. Every time they do this on purpose. We've shown you tons of videos of Menzies getting his ass kicked and then them starting a GoFundMe after for him. Help us pay our legal bills. Look at this. This happened 12 minutes after actually the fight happened. Fund our legal fight. We're suing the RCMP 3 officers. This is on Rebel's news site. We're suing the officer who attacked David Menzies. Please donate here. You can donate $28, $55, $115, $250, $500, $1,000, or $2,500. And if you're a real nice guy or girl, you'll do that as a recurring payment, which is also said. And not done there. That's not the only way you can send them money, by the way. If you agree, it says you can e-transfer to them. You can make checks out available to the Rebel News Network. It gives the address. And, of course, if you feel like going off the grid, you can donate crypto to these pieces of shit.
I encourage anybody that feels like they need to donate as much as they possibly can.
As much as they have. Yeah.
Empty your fucking bank account, please. Isn't it?
I was just going to say, can we call them the Ezra Levant Ministries instead?
Yeah, we should. And it's on top of it, Menzies and Rebel is also suing the RCMP, as you can see here, for $50,000 in damages.
I wonder if they have a license or some sort of church type of. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, they're nonprofit. Look into probably. They're probably nonprofit.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Rebel,
if they got like nonprofit status. Yeah, probably.
They'd have to.
If you're able to raise money for legal cases, you have to prove that you didn't just pocket it in your chubby little flank pocket, right?
I mean, like Chris Kye does.
Yeah, like every televangelist does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
I started thinking to myself, why don't we fundraise? Like, why don't we do the kind of fundraising there to see if we can out fundraise them so we can try and put them out of business?
Can we just be honest about it at the beginning and say that we're going to buy steaks, beer, cognac or something, and shrimp?
No,
can we just?
No, because
he's got
he
actually has a good idea here. We talked about this.
Hear me out. What if we actually went on a campaign, and the campaign was to outfund Rebel News so that we could try to shut them down, so that we could have someone fact check them, stay on top of all their shit, hire lawyers to be able to fucking offer C&Ds and then sue them for putting out fake news, like that kind of stuff.
What are the chances any of it for beer?
A little bit, yeah. But we just can't tell people we're taking it for beer because that's how this works.
Too, Lock.
Like, that's how this works. You can see here, please donate to offset our legal costs. They're not using any of that money for legal costs. No. Ezra Levant and his buddies are putting that in the old Hip City Bank and going on nice vacations and generating more revenue and putting out more newsletters and paying different people to do this egregiously shitty content, which is super fucking fake. Like,
putting David Menzies on a swoop flight and giving him a shitty rental car to go get his ass kicked by cops.
Yeah, because that's what they tell him to do.
I'll tell you what the problem is, and again, I understand what you're saying, and I think it would be an interesting experiment to see if we could get the type of audience that we have to donate to put a company like that out of business. But there is a level of delusion from the followers of that group that makes them much more susceptible to being taken advantage of. That we don't have. Like, we unfortunately have listeners that actually use their brains and they think for themselves. Fuck. Yeah, we're done for.
Are you supposed to cross it off with that?
Yeah, it's too
difficult.
Thanks,
fucking viewers and commenters, you fucking smart asses. Thanks a lot for being smart.
Yeah.
It's true though.
I was just going to say it wouldn't work. It sounds fun on paper, but it wouldn't work because the legal argument that you can be a complete piece of shit publicly still exists.
Like, I think it's still worth a try, though. I
think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
I think what happened, the Streisand effect. I think that what would happen is that whatever viewership they have right now might increase. That's what I think would happen. I don't want to be responsible for that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but then we'd get money, And we'd spend, as Lachlan pointed out, a little bit of it on ourselves, but most of it we would spend on making those guys
Fine.
eat
If you send me an ounce of
shit.
shrooms, I'm in.
Fuck.
You talked me into it.
I don't need your stinking shroom.
As long as there's shrooms in it for you, we'll do it. I'll do it too. Anyway, that's the stuff. I couldn't. When I watched the video this weekend, and I was telling Ryan, it was one of our biggest videos. It had like 500,000 impressions. It had a couple 100,000 views, and I'm like, holy fuck, people really do hate Rebel News, and they really I enjoyed. And this isn't like me anymore. Maybe it is. I enjoyed watching David Menzies almost get choked to death by a couple RCMP officers.
I agree.
I was like, I wonder if he's going to black out. Let's wait and see that. What is it?
I also masturbated to that. It was great.
Yeah. I didn't know whether to watch it or whack off.
I knew what to do.
I want to see what this. I see there's a comment here saying that there's somebody put a bounty out on a doctor on Rebel News today. There's a comment.
Yeah, but it's just
have a
Dr.
look
Oz.
on that. Have a look. Have a look into that, Ryan.
Who Ezra did? Ezra put a bounty on a doctor today. Is that what he did?
Yeah, I think
on like a legitimate, like to kill him. That's
Ezra, the Silk Road, Levant.
Oh, you know what? I think the fucking asshole blocked me already.
Oh, did he?
Polyester.
Yeah, we're all blocked by Rebel.
I was just going to say, being associated with your name.
Yeah, it happens. Like Slapinski blocked all of us.
Wait.
Oh, you got it?
I got him.
What do you got? What does it say?
See what he's saying here.
What does Ezra got for us today? Looking for to put a bounty on a doctor's head? Is that correct?
Yeah, Vamp. I'll look at it.
All right.
Give me 2
All
seconds.
right. Well, we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll come back with it tomorrow. Unless you figure it out before we actually finish.
Here we go.
the show.
$5,000 bounty to anyone who sends video of this fear-mongering doctor breaking COVID rules. Email me in strict confidence at tips@Rebel News. And it's you know who it is? It's Nahid Dosani, the one of the best doctors that he's like a palliative care physician that I've talked to many times. Super.
Thank you for that, Cam.
And now he's put a bounty on him.
That's nice. So here's the thing. If you want to donate to us, just go to my Twitter feed. And if you want to donate some crypto, there's a way you can do that. You can also donate. There's a way to tip. I'm going to start this. I'm going to start a big fundraising thing. And I'm going to put a bounty on Ezra Levant. That's what I'm going to do.
Can I tell you why he put the bounty out? Can I tell you that? Let me just
sure.
Let me just tell you the tweet that triggered Ezra Levant. Dr. Dasani, all he said was, retweet this if you canceled your holiday get-together plans and know you're doing the right thing. That's all he said.
Oh.
And we're going to put $5,000 out on his head.
Live from Hungary. Lachlan Cross.
So we can have all those levels, right? Like if you have video of Ezra Levant actually chasing an ambulance, $5,000. Right?
$5,000. Yeah.
If you step into the ambulance and get hit, and Ezra Levant represents you, even though he's in the back of the ambulance, $10,000.
There's a video of him doing awful things too out there.
Oh yeah,
you know that. Yeah.
And if you can get me Ezra Levant's browser history, $100K.
What do you think is in that?
Oh, it is.
Probably just a bunch of like mail order bride stuff.
And his personal banking information would be great too.
Yeah.
And searches for holidays to Bangkok.
He thought Bangkok was something completely different in his.
Naked Cheese Wings brings up a great point. They have money to put a bounty out, but they can't pay a lawyer to sue the RCMP. That's fucking brilliant. It's so.
They are the lawyers.
Yeah, they're all lawyers.
Ezra Levant is the lawyer.
Yeah, Levant is the lawyer. Exactly.
I'll tell you a deal. This is what I'm going to do. 2022 is going to be the year where we fundraise and we generate tons of revenue to beat the shit out of that guy virtually, to absolutely follow him around with a poop bag, picking up his shit and throwing it in the side window when he stops his car. That's what I'm going to do this year because I hate him that much. Like I fucking hate him. I hate David Menzies. I hate what they do to people. I hate the fact that that people watch it. I love the fact that people donate. I really do. Don't get me wrong. Keep donating to him. Keep going broke to fund losers doing loser things because it's going to come. Like I was talking with some people this weekend, a couple of cops, and we were talking about the Rebel News and Ezra Levant. And one of the cops who works in digital crime, he's like, they're going to get it, bro. Like, they're going to get it because you can't keep doing the things that they've been doing and not have any kind of repercussions. You can't keep, like in Australia, they're basically responsible for all the unrest that's going around in Australia because all they do is pump out shit saying, you people and your rights, you people and your rights. It's all, and Ezra Levant's fucking vaccinated. They all are. Every one of those douchebags is vaccinated. Like Trump the other day, he's on stage with Bill O'Reilly and they're like, you got a booster? Trump's like, yeah, I got a booster. And they boot him. All of the people that are telling you not to get vaccinated and do whatever it is that you do or trying to fucking prey on you to take your money, they're all vaccinated and know the truth. It's a fucking grift. It's a great
James
game.
James made a great point about this today.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how awful, but good still it would be if Donald Trump ended up saving us because he was able to convince all the anti-vaxxer foam-fingered Trump fans to like get vaccinated. I think the analogy I used was Matt Damon's character in the movie Crash, where he like sexually assaults that black woman after a traffic stop, and then 3 days later, that same cop has to rescue that black woman from a flaming car. Finger fucks you on Tuesday, saves your life on Thursday. That's Trump, or it could be.
It's Trump.
Yeah,
it could actually be
Trump in a nutshell. You're right.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Because he fucking started he threw gasoline all over the fire that was the start of the COVID pandemic, and he might just take a piss for long enough to put it out. That's all it is.
You know? Maybe we'll see what happens. Lock.
Yeah, but
ready for bed.
No, I am. But the whole Trump thing is like it just shifts gears. Like you never know from 1 minute to the next.
What's
right?
more powerful though, Trump loyalty or I hate vaccines? Which one's more powerful, you think? It's an interesting question. I don't know if I know the answer at all. But
I understand what you're saying, but his messaging is so disjointed that, and I don't know how they justify. Like I don't know how they rationalize it in their minds.
They've been doing it for 5 years.
I get that, but how would you convince them to do the right thing?
Just do it. That's the way.
I think you have to care. I'm with Locke on this one. I think you got to care about those people to convince them to do the right thing at this point, right?
No, but he's saying have Trump do it. If Trump's doing it already, because Trump
came
came out pro-vaccine,
unvaccinated getting vaccinated, and he would be a hero. I'd clap my hands for him because we need them vaccinated. All I'm saying is that who else is capable of mobilizing the carnies that are not vaccinated?
James is right. I just don't trust him to do the right thing. Like he would never double down on that like he did on the weird shit that he did, right?
No.
Like he would never go out and say it again and again and again and again and again, you need to get vaccinated. He would never do the right thing. That's the problem with your plan.
Yeah.
Your plan would work if he did say, listen, dummies, get vaccinated.
But that's the thing. I don't know if it would work. I think the COVID vaccine thing might be the thing that breaks the streak of Trump is infallible. I really do. I think these people are just like.
But that's why Trump, he's going to back his foot off the gas.
Yes, that's right. So hypothetically, I was speaking hypothetically, like if he actually did that, I think it would actually work. And I think he's the only one capable of doing that if he did that.
You're totally right.
And this is all coming. Right. This is all coming off of a comment that he made this weekend, Locke. I don't know if you saw it, but he actually did make a statement about you're in the wrong if you're not vaccinated along those lines. And a lot of people
and he got booed. You got trolled.
A lot of people they lashed out at him. They went out on Twitter at him everywhere. Not that he can see it on Twitter, but it's it's weird. It's a weird. I like James's idea of like which one's better. No vaccine or I love Trump,
It's weird when you see a completely, absolutely worthless piece of shit get booed when he shouldn't. You're like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Maybe this is...
The thing is, though, he gets booed all the time.
Yeah, but he was being booed
and that's the thing that's the bizarre thing about Trump is he just rolls with it. Like, it's unbelievable. We're going to be and analyzing this Trump thing forever. Like it's going to be something in 200 years. They're going to be looking back at it and going, "What the fuck? What happened?" Like it's so fucking bizarre.
How a whole country lost its mind, right? Like, and I think that I remember saying that to my dad years ago, and because we have family that fought in the war, and I'm like, Hitler, huh? Like, how did a whole country like believe in that? Like, how do you fucking con an entire country into it? And if you knew who Donald Trump was 30 years ago, as we all did, he was a meme. He was just this fucking loser in New York that wanted to be somebody. And now people are dying for him. Like it
was the slow boil. The frog in the slow boiling water is what happened to America.
Yeah. Anyway, it looks good on him. I could care less, to be honest.
Still doing it. They're still doing it. They're still doing it. And now they're just putting different people up on a pedestal. I mean, right?
Well, after Palin, I was like, oh,
yeah, Palin.
Well, obviously this is the bookend to that crazy chapter.
Fuck me.
I think an actual televangelist will be the next Republican presidential candidate. I'm serious. It will just be something like, it will be that sequin suit, the big Bob Barker mic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to get
the problem is you're not wrong, because who's going to do that job? It's because he's made a joke out of it. He's made a joke out of politics in North America.
You think Sarah Palin was like the litmus test on this one? Like
maybe.
Right before?
Did you see her the other day? By the way, still looks good. I would.
Yeah.
Sarah Palin. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's like
you've got the Tina Fey effect, I think.
Yeah, she does.
If she talked though, that's it.
Yeah, she'd have to be mute.
You can't talk with your mouth full.
Oh, wow.
What? It's just not polite.
Yeah. That is Lachlan Cross, live from Budapest, Hungary. I think I just saw Deb tell him to get off the phone, so we'll let him go.
There was something to that nature.
Yeah. Lachlan, it's time for vacation cuddling. That's what she said. But listen, I want to thank you for spending some time with us today. It's always great to see you, and we look forward to you coming back.
I am back next week. If you guys are podcasting, who knows what my situation is going to look like, but I do miss you guys, and thank you for letting me jump on tonight. I appreciate it.
Miss you too, buddy.
It was good to see you.
Go take pictures. Go take more pictures of your food. We'll see you soon.
Can't wait to see what Burger King has to offer in Hungary.
Yeah. Oh, we can't hear you.
You muted yourself, pal.
Yeah, oh no, we're losing bars now. I think he's gone. He's trying to talk. Anyway, that's it for him. Thanks to James D. Fiore. Blackballed the Podcast is where you can find him. Anywhere you can find podcasts, including at deanblundell.com. Blackballed the podcast, and then blackballmedia.ca is where you can find everything that James does. So please go check him out at James D. Fiore on Twitter. Ryan Lindley, host of the Sheeple Shepherd podcast. You're welcome, my friend. The Sheeple Shepherd podcast is where you can find his podcast. Subscribe to that as well. Smash the old subscribe button and follow these guys both on Twitter at Ryan Lindley, at James D. Fiore. Lucky to get your own names.
Follow me before you block me. Just to change it up.
Hard to do. Thanks, boys.
Like
we'll
one
talk
of
to
the
you
tweets.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon. There you go.
You,
Ryan
man.
Lindley
Have a great night.
James D. Fiore and Lachlan Cross. NHL's out of the Olympics. Blessing in disguise. Nurse Cat was great today, too. Follow her at Hey Nurse Cat. At Hey Nurse Cat. She's awesome. Speaks the truth. She's got an unbelievable Twitter sword, too. She's cool. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, thanks to our sponsors and friends over at Easy Auto Financial, making it easy for people to get financing. Doesn't cost you a dime. No obligation. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. Check them out today. Go and sign up, because what they do is they look for anything that you want, and then they don't make you pay for your financing. They put you in touch with the easiest way to buy a car. It's turnkey, super simple. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. Check them out today. Also, our friends at Domination, making it super simple for you to do content, and especially legacy content, promos. Sometimes it takes hours to do a promo. It takes minutes. You get like 72 different pieces. You can fly across different platforms. You can put them on different socials. You can use it. It's just time saver. It's the best. That's why Jeff Bezos is so rich. He figured out a way to save everybody time. That's what our friend Adam at Domination did. So try them out today. DMNTN, again, DMNTN.com. It's software for people that love to game, stream, etc. Podcast, doesn't matter. And, of course, at Ed's Fine Imports, it's the Christmas season. If you're looking for some gitch, he's got the best underwear on the planet, luxury underwear, boxer briefs, pouch in the front, GITCH, number 3 is your promo code. Order from him to you right now. Probably get him before Christmas. He's that good. Clothing for men and boys at edsfineimports.com. Have a great day, everybody. Sign up for a newsletter at deanblundell.com. We will see you tomorrow right here on this very program. Bye.